Hi there, I'm Timothy Linsdau, a video producer, a Christian, a Kiwanian, and a Boy Scouter, keeping busy in my so-called retirement days. Just looking at the newspaper here, it says loneliness for seniors is a focus of UC San Diego's researchers. UCSD is a pretty well-known university, so it has some importance. And it's important to me now that I'm pushing 70. What's this loneliness thing all about? Okay, now I have to, of course, start out with I'm not a health professional of any kind. This is purely my opinion and reviewing this article. This new study studied 30 residents in a normal care home, independent living sites, what they call it. And they wanted to see what's going on with loneliness. This place had a lot of activities, group activities, cards, tennis, art classes, theater outings. So the question is, why would they be lonely? Now these scholars working in this independent facility in San Diego found that 85% of these 30 people had some levels of loneliness. And these academics say there's a risk for heart disease, dementia, elevated blood pressure, depression, and premature death. Loneliness rivals diseases such as rivals smoking and obesity and shortening of longevity, just from feeling lonely. The small study online is part of a bigger study nationwide, trying to understand loneliness and its effect on the older populations. These studies of loneliness are coming on at the time when at least people who are at least 65 went up by 34% between 2007 and 2017. So within 10 years, people who are at least 65 have gone up 34%. So they project by 2030, 73 million, more than 20% of the U.S. total population, which specialists refer to as a silver tsunami. I kind of like that silver tsunami, but anyway, because it's expected to wash over many aspects of society, healthcare, housing, transportation, technology. It's going to affect many, many things, so loneliness becomes a big deal, dealing with it. Labeled a public health epidemic at this time. The United Kingdom studied this some time back and found the same issues. Some 200,000 people in Britain said they had not had a conversation with a relative or a friend in a month. And what's that all about? I was just thinking about that. My lifestyle. I was in retail management, so I had a lot of contact with many different people for many years, got to know their names, some of their family, their careers, lots to talk about, all the time, lots to talk about, a lot of interaction. And family. Of course, my direct family, wife and 2 sons, connected family, all those things, shirt-tail relations. But when I retired, all of a sudden, all those people I knew just went away because they were in a different part of the city that I lived. And that was a little hard to take at first. But I immediately got involved in more in Boy Scouting and things like the Kiwanis clubs, and I knew I needed that contact. I needed that personal contact with people, and a little more involved in my church for different activities, whatever it was. So I was around people all the time and getting to know them more and cutting down that loneliness. But I've noticed, as it goes on in this article, to make the point that, as it did in Britain, that some of these people had not spoken to a relative or a friend in a month. And I noticed that if I'm not having a more intimate relationship with a friend, where we have deep conversations, say about religion or other things, you start to miss it. You start to crave it. You start getting lonely. That's what happens. So I myself would get really involved in these different groups and organizations, and it really has helped me to alleviate a feeling of loneliness because of all the personal contact I had in my work and business. Researchers are diving into differences between social isolation, which is objective reality of living alone, and loneliness, the subjective feeling of distress. They know not everyone lives alone is lonely, and not everyone who lives with others isn't. In other words, it depends on each person's personality, I suspect, and what their experiences is. Risk factors, loss of loved ones, genetic issues, biological and behavior processes triggered by loneliness. All of these things are issues they're discussing and finding in their research. Research also showed that older people with it could get better. Did another study showed that people are happier as they age, and there's a career called a geriatric neuropsychiatry. Okay, that are studying these things. The research goes on to say it is a major problem and we can do something about it. And one size does not fit all, so it depends on each individual working through what would they like to do, what would solve their problem. One quote from the researchers: "You can live amongst other people and still feel lonely," and I understand that. It can be a rude awakening for some people when they move into a facility. They used to be being on their own homes, setting their own schedules, and now someone else is making those decisions. A loss of control contributes to loneliness. I think that was probably the best quote in this article, that you're losing control of what you want to do and what you do. And they try to fill that time with activities. But my personal experience is about a level of intimacy that you have with a close friend or a close relative, possibly your spouse. And intimacy, I'm not talking about a sexual situation, but more of a heartfelt desire to communicate with somebody and be acquainted with them and want to talk about their problems and your problems, all those things that you do with a good friendship. I think that, to me, that's what's really important, is getting deep, because in some organizations I've been in around a lot of people, and I've been in leadership positions quite a bit. And one of the problems with that is you're so involved in the administration of the activity, you don't get a chance to know people. You meet a lot of people, but you don't really know them. And to be able to sit down, have a cup of coffee, spend a couple hours of talking together, that can go a long ways. And I would say, too, especially to people who have lost all of their relatives, all their friends have passed away, or they've moved into these care facilities full time, and all of a sudden everybody they knew is gone. So they may have to develop whole new relationships, and I'm sure there can be a stretch of loneliness there. And that can be difficult. He said they consider this a growing health concern. The number of baby boomers in the U.S. that are retiring is dramatic, tens of thousands. And I've noticed in California, the cost of things, a lot of people that retire move out of California. So they're leaving all their friends behind, maybe a lot of relatives. So that could very well be an issue. They say these researchers, we identify underlying causes of loneliness from seniors' own perspectives in this study. And they learn how to help resolve loneliness and improve overall health, well-being, and longevity of our aging population. Some people just go back to work. I mean, even if they don't have to go to work, they find some form of work. I've always kept my hands in video. I had a real strong stretch of about 10 years of commercial video work. But now I do much more about what I want to do, and then like this vlog. So it keeps me active and involved, my brain working all the time, especially with the advancement of technology. It's difficult to keep up with. So you know what? Thanks for listening. Like and comment on my videos. Subscribe to my channel. Get out there and meet somebody, and just make it a great day.